Welcome to Bridge, a podcast from the Jesuit School of Theology of Santa Clara University. My name is Preston Carmack. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at JST-SCU. Thank you for joining us as we journey together toward becoming all God imagines. In this episode, we hear from Associate Dean and Professor of Christian Social Ethics, Dr. Julie Rubio. Dr. Rubio's research focuses on family, feminism, and reconciliation, and in this talk, she draws comparisons between Saint Mary Magdalene and Pope Francis. Dr. Rubio is the author of the recent book, Can You Be a Catholic and a Feminist? From Oxford University Press. As always, to find more information out about the Jesuit School of Theology of Santa Clara University, you can visit our website at scu.edu/JST. I hope you enjoy the episode.
Today we read the story of Mary of Magdala as we mourn the death of Pope Francis. How will we remember them? Pope Francis, the Pope of the poor, the earth, surprises, synodality, and mercy, or the Pope who sowed division, caused confusion, used his power to silence traditionalists, watered down the faith? And Mary Magdalene, apostle to the apostles, or the patron saint of repentant sinners, converts, perfumers, hairdressers, glove makers, prostitutes? No scriptural text names Mary as a prostitute, an adulteress, or a sinner. In Luke's gospel, we learn that 7 demons were called out of her. Most likely this means she suffered from some crippling illness, mental or physical, and was healed by Jesus. Then she, with other women, accompanied and supported Jesus as he traveled and preached. She seems to have been a woman of some prominence, of Magdala, an important figure in the early Christian movement, always named first in a list. Today's gospel is the second half of John's account of Mary Magdalene, a part never heard by most Catholics who don't attend weekday liturgies, which may contribute to some misremembering. The Gospels disagree a lot about what happened after the resurrection, but they agree that women were the first to see the risen Jesus, and Mary Magdalene was there. Though in Mark and John, she's alone, while in the Synoptics, she's among women. Mary's prominence in the early Christian movement, according to some commentators, seems to point to her alone with Jesus as the original story. In this story, there are 3 key moments. I think they tell us something about Mary and something about Francis that might help us as we discern how to remember them. She weeps, she encounters, and she preaches. Mary weeps. Her first thought on seeing the empty tomb, which comes to us in Sunday's gospel, is they have taken his body. That's why we find her weeping today. She draws a reasonable conclusion out of clear recognition of who Jesus was, a prophet who stirred up the people, who ate with tax collectors and sinners, preached good news to the poor and woe to the rich, rode into Jerusalem on a donkey, countering the pageantry and logic of empire, angered the political authorities, and was sentenced to die a humiliating death on a cross. She knew who he was. Mary of Magdala had good reason to think Jesus' enemies had taken his body, that she had lost Jesus whom she loved, and she weeps outside his empty tomb. Early in his papacy, Francis preached in Lampedusa. We are a society which has forgotten how to weep, how to experience compassion, suffering with others. The globalization of indifference has taken from us the ability to weep. Let us ask the Lord for the grace to weep over our indifference, to weep over the cruelty of our world and our own hearts. From beginning to end, Francis seems to feel the suffering of the most vulnerable human beings, which is why he kept trying to go back to them, center them, and put their needs first. Mary encounters. Perhaps you remember, as I do, when Jenna Hens Piazza preached on this text here at JST, focusing on encounter. It was one of those homilies that changes the way you see things. When Mary encounters Jesus after he calls her name, she recognizes him. Jenna helped us to see that in telling her, "Don't hold on to me," he isn't rejecting an embrace. Rather, he's inviting her not to hold on to the way she's used to seeing him, rabbi, teacher. Instead, he tells her that he will ascend to God, the God that he and she both know so well, and remain there. He is not dead, but remains, not within physical reach, but available to her and to all who believe. This encounter moves Mary beyond her despair to hope and allows her to live into what she is called to do. Encounter was the center of Francis's papacy. In Evangelii Gaudium, he exhorted all Christians to embrace the joy of the gospel by letting themselves encounter Jesus. He said, thanks solely to this encounter or renewed encounter with God's love, which blossoms into an enriching friendship, we're liberated from our narrowness and self-absorption. We become fully human when we become more than human, when we let God bring us beyond ourselves in order to attain the fullest truth of our being. Francis wanted us to encounter Jesus, in prayer to be sure, but also in loved ones, in strangers, in our opponents, and in the poor. And he asked us to create a culture of encounter in a world torn apart by division. He believed encounter would transform us. Mary preaches. Transformed by encounter, Mary announces the gospel, improbably, and yet almost certainly, because the early Christians would not make this up. A woman is the first to preach the gospel, to tell what she has seen and what she has been told. Some gospel accounts tell us this didn't go very well, that Mary and the other women were not believed. In the Gospel of Mary, there's a scene where Mary is teaching and Peter interrupts. Did he really speak privately with a woman, not openly to us? Are we to turn about and all listen to her? And Mary responds, my brother, Peter, what do you think? Do you think I thought this up myself in my heart, or that I'm lying about the Savior? And then Levi interrupts, Peter, you've always been hot-tempered. Now I see you contending against the woman like the adversaries, but if the Savior made her worthy, who are you indeed to reject her? Though I have no trouble imagining this conversation actually happening, most scholars think it's meant to capture the debate over female visionaries and leaders in the early Christian movement. Mary, one of them, preached, and it bothered people. Francis, too, preached, and it bothered people. Despite what critics say, he did not water anything down. He called Christians to be better in our families, in our church, and in our world. In Fratelli Tutti, he asked us to resist the temptation to build a culture of walls, to raise walls, walls in the heart, walls on the land, in order to prevent encounter with other cultures, with other people. And those who raise up walls will end up slaves within the very walls they've built. Calling us to own our siblinghood and work for justice for migrants, for the poor, for the earth, to embrace peacemaking and nonviolence, he insisted, in the depths of every heart, love creates bonds and expands existence, for it draws people out of themselves and toward others. I hope we can remember Mary and Francis with clear eyes, as disciples of Jesus who wept, encountered, and preached. Saints and holy people who accompany us and inspire us to be transformed.